so today we're going to learn about calculating speed. So we're going to go through all these notes together. We're going to do all these notes together, and we are also going to do all of our example problems on back. You'll have to do your own, create your own triangle type thing. So, well, you'll still have to be able to do this and be able to find your knowns, things like that, basically making your TP. So, moving to what you think you know. So what do you think is speed? You can put down what you think, put down a few examples like miles per hour or kilometers per hour like we'll use here, or meters per second. These are things that we'll use more often than not. Probably more like these. If we're calculating something like when we were doing space, it could be kilometers per second, because things are moving at extreme speeds in light. Especially we're talking about light, we're talking about wavelengths, we're talking about things like that. That will be your kilometers per second. But more likely than not, we're going to work on these two, or off of these two. Might do centimeters per second as well too, if it's like a smaller thing that we're doing. So just define speed. Speed is the distance you travel or traveled divided by the time it took to get there. To reach the final destination. So basically the time it takes you to get from point A to point B. Time from point A to point B. So our formula for calculating, if we see the distance traveled divided by time. So that is speed, equals distance divided by time. So no matter what you're given, you can always figure it out. So if we are trying to do our speed calculation, we can always use the triangle method, which is the easiest way to do it. That way, if you're given two knowns, you can find your unknown. So if you're given speed, distance, and speed, you can find time. If you're giving time and speed, you can find distance. If you're trying to find speed, you give distance and time. These things are all true. Easy thing to do, just make your triangle. Whatever your known is will go in the spot it goes to, and then you'll either divide if you have the distance, or you'll multiply if you're trying to find the distance. Pretty easy to do. So what we'll do on each one is draw a speed calculation triangle with blank spaces, like so. So you would do this. You need to put the variables known. So if we are moving on to step 2, let's say I know my distance, or I know my distance. I'm trying to find my speed, and I know my time. So I know these two, which means I divide distance by time to equal speed. Write the ones in appropriate spots with the units. If you don't put the units, you'll get it wrong. It's just the way it is. So you must be able to realize what the units are. So, and by the way, I apologize if this was off the screen. I didn't notice. It will be on there, so that way, no worries. I will also post, after the class is over, I'll post this completed picture on here, so you'll be fine. Alright, so unknown variable, you always put an X or an A or the S, D, T, whatever you're looking for. It doesn't matter what you're writing. Solve for the unknown using the math. So use your triangle up here to figure out what the math formula will be, or your triangle you create to figure out what the math formula will be. Either way, you'll be able to do it if you use the triangle. So let us go and solve for the unknown with the math formula. If you forget your units, so do not forget your units or else it will be incorrect. So make sure you put the units or else that is incorrect. So if we are doing meters per second or miles per hour or kilometers per hour, that's what you have to put for your speed. So in the first one, we are going to be looking for speed. So we know what our distance and time is. So our distance equals 86 meters, which means, since we know distance goes on top, we'll do 86 meters. Your other known variable is time, so seconds. So time equals 140 seconds. That means you're going to put 140 seconds in there. So that shows you what you have. You can put SEC or just S. Either one is going to be your seconds. So that means you are looking for speed. You can put X, you can put S, whatever you want to do. So we are looking for speed. So that means speed will equal 86 meters divided by 140 seconds. So this gives us an answer of, after we calculate it, feel free to use your calculator, speed or X or S, doesn't really matter, equals 0.61, and we can just go 0.61 using sig figs method, because technically there's only 2 sig figs in this one, so we'll do that. So 0.61, and are we done? The answer is no, so we have to go meters per second, because this is the same thing as dividing. So that is your 0.61 meters per second. Makes sense? You can always calculate it to a different one, but in this case we're going to keep it at meters. If you wanted to keep it centimeters, that's different, but we're going to keep it at meters for this specific one. Alright, let us flip over and we will go to the next one. So you can put your solution here, but we'll worry about that later. Solution's on the other side. Alright, so example 2. How long does it take a chicken to cross the road? Ha! I love my puns. I'm pretty awesome, aren't I? So your known variables are, you have your distance. That is going to be 12.5 meters. That means our distance will be 12.5 meters. And the chicken walks at a pace of 1. So that means we have our speed equals 1.25 meters per second. So if we're looking for how long it will take, that means we're looking for time. So you can call time X or you can call it T. It really doesn't matter. So speed is our known here. We do 1.25 meters per second. And now we are looking for our time. So given this, we have to divide. So time will equal 12.5 meters divided by 1.25 meters per second. And I'll give you a second to calculate that on your calculator if you want to. I will go along with what you guys do all the time and just use the calculator. So if I divide that by each other, my solution is I have time equals 10. So what do I do? Is it just 10? The answer is no. So if we divide, that means you can cancel out this meters and your division symbol and this meters, and that will give you 10 seconds to walk 12.25 meters. That's how long it takes the chicken to cross the road. We may have been wondering why, but at least we know how long it takes. Alright, so we now have 2 more examples. Let's go ahead and go with what we have. So how far tells you the thing that we're looking for right here. So we are looking for distance. So that means our x or our d or whatever you want to call it is what we're actually looking for. So now we have to figure out the rest of it. So how far could you walk if you walked at a pace of 1.8 meters per second? So that means we have our speed. It equals 1.8 meters per second. So we have 1.8 meters per second in our triangle. So be careful to make sure that you convert yours to minutes. It tells you right here. So we have our time, which equals 3 minutes. But we are doing seconds, so we will have to convert this into it. And we know there are 60 seconds equals 1 minute. So in this case, if we multiply it by 3, that means we'll have 180 seconds. So equals 180 seconds. So now our solution, we have to find distance. We'll make sure we put it in here. So we have our 2 knowns. So if we flip back, we see that if they are on the same level of the triangle, we must multiply. So in this case, we must multiply the 2 together. So we have our distance that we're looking for. By the way, there's your answer for the last one. Distance equals 1.8 meters per second times 180 seconds. So we multiply 1.8 times 180 equals 324. And does that end it? The answer is no. So we have seconds. Seconds get when we're multiplying, we get rid of the seconds and the per seconds because multiplying cancels those out. And now we have just meters left. So our answer is 324 meters. Got it? Good. If you're having trouble, feel free to stop, pause this, rewatch, or ask if you need some clarification on anything. All right? So we talked about on the front page that kilometers per hour would be something we would use. So we are looking for speed again. So we are looking for what is the speed. So we have to find speed for a airplane that flies 3,540 kilometers. So there's our distance. Speed is what we're looking for. And we have 4 hours. And remember, we can do it per hour, so no worries there. So that means we are going to go 3,540 kilometers divided by 4. You can just do H, you can do HR. It really doesn't matter. We'll do HR just to make it easier to understand. So 3,540 divided by 4 equals. This plane is going 885 kilometers. Remember, we have to do per because we're dividing by hour. So that is what we have. Do not worry about average speed today. Your last thing for notes before you go get your assignment. So go get assignment. Just as a reminder so that way you don't forget. But your instantaneous speed. The definition of this is the speed of an object at a given point in time. So at any given point in time. So whatever the speed is at that instant. All right. Whatever helps you remember that. So if you are checking on a speed, so when you are going 75 miles an hour on the highway, or your speed is 75 miles per hour while you're driving, that is your instantaneous speed. That is not your average speed across the entire trip. So something like this would be your average speed across the entire trip. Your 75 miles per hour at that moment would be instantaneous. All right. So go get your assignment. If you need help with it, feel free to ask. It is not due until tomorrow. I do not expect you to get it done. This is not necessarily the shortest video ever, so make sure that you finish your notes. Like I said, I will post the particular answers to this on Classroom after you have finished this today. All right? So enjoy. I hope this helps you.